With a dearth of material in mainline cinemas at the moment worth watching, more and more critics and commenters are turning creator. Chris Stuckman, Markiplier, and Will Jordan, also known as the Critical Drinker, are all examples of individuals that have made self- or crowdfunded movies, and I reviewed The Drinker's Rogue Elements objectively when it was released. I'll link that below. And I promise to be just as objective here. Even though I was invited to the premiere of All in Good Time by my friend the director Lance Steen Anthony Nilsson, I promise these will be my actual thoughts. No bias. All in Good Time is a short film written by Callum Edmunds, who most will know as Mauler or the Longman. It is his debut screenplay. It's produced by the Critical Drinker, aka Will Jordan, and directed by Lance Nilsson, who doesn't really have a nickname, but if he did, I would recommend The Day Raver. He does have his own channel, The Outcast Creative, where he does a lot of industry interviews, as well as a weekly entertainment show, The Nielsen Ratings, where you will find me. Enough about that, let's get on to the film. First of all, I'm going to give you a plot synopsis. Spoiler-free, as this film has not yet been released by the respective creators. I will detail the first couple of minutes and the broad plot, but any conclusions or spoilers are going to be left out. It's only fair. The film starts off with a drone shot over English countryside. It then comes in through a barn window, I imagine this was shot in reverse, and goes past a broken clock before we see our cast. There are 4 people sitting on chairs. They are hooded and bound. Behind them is the Heavy, played by Grant Hugger, looking not entirely unlike a hench young Ben Kingsley, while in front is a man in a suit. This is clearly the head honcho, and named in the screenplay as simply the Boss. He is played by veteran actor Nicholas Rowe. At the boss's direction, the first hood is removed. The hostage briefly pleads for his life and is executed, shot through the head. The second hostage, a lady, is dispatched just as casually. The boss indicates for the Heavy to skip the third and then kills the fourth in the same fashion. Going back then to the third hostage, the Heavy takes off the hood to reveal Jason Fleming, who is disappointingly just called the hostage. When the boss goes to execute him, his gun jams repeatedly. The Heavy then offers his gun to the boss. The boss refuses angrily and sends his henchman off to repair his weapon. While he waits for his gun to be repaired, the boss then commences in dialogue with the hostage, and this is going to reveal the overall plot of the story to us and the motives of all concerned as it builds towards its conclusion. Now that broadly covers what goes on in the movie. Any other details I'll give you as the review goes on, but as I said, I don't want to spoil anything here. This film has not had a wide release. Direction-wise, everything looks fine. This is a low-budget piece in one location, focused largely on 2 characters, so dynamism and action shots aren't exactly the name of the game here. Nonetheless, the camera angles that are chosen effectively push the conversation going on, keeping things compelling with a variety of shots. Whereas it might be Mauler's first screenplay, Lance has directed films before. He's no amateur, and everything was exactly as I expected. Perfectly competent. Nothing particularly strenuous being required, but incidentally, I would recommend checking out the behind-the-scenes video on his channel that I've nicked a few of these shots from. It's well worth a look and quite enlightening. The sound is great too. The barn has good acoustics, and there is a score by Nick Samuel, who was actually sitting in front of me at the premiere, that complements without getting in the way. But if I have to be honest, it is the actors that are the real stars here. Both Nick and Jason have impressive IMDb records, and they really elevate this piece and bring it to life. These guys can emote with a single movement of the eyes, and they really do make the entire affair extremely compelling. Whatever proportion of the budget was spent on the 2 leads was definitely worth it, every penny. But that's not what you're all here for. Obviously, what you want to know is how good is Mauler's first screenplay? Well, given Mauler's penchant for long-form content, he has delivered a tight and cohesive story here. While it might feel somewhat like a vignette of a larger piece, it is effectively self-contained. For the record, there was a scene that was planned that would have detailed the event that is discussed between the 2 men here, but it was omitted due to budget. The visual environment was also planned to be a New York office building, but presumably the budget also wouldn't stretch to that, so now we've got a barn in Kent. Honestly, this is probably a blessing. I'm not sure how good our cast are at doing a New York accent. The thing that really stands out in Mauler's screenplay is actually the dialogue. It's very natural and realistic, and it put me in mind of something like James Bond films. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it's probably better than most of the recent James Bonds. It really was a highlight, and given that I generally in my writing struggle to make humans sound like they're actually talking to each other, like humans, I really found it quite impressive. There are a few other great touches as well, such as the passage of time, being shown by a glass of water that is being drunk slowly by the boss. As the water level drops, it is impossible not to see it as an hourglass, with the hostage's lifespan potentially being measured millilitres at a time, and it was confirmed in the QA that this was in the original screenplay. Overall, I have to say I was impressed, although I would have a couple of questions for Mauler, such as the dependency on the plot for lucky circumstance or happenstance to dictate the narrative, given that these are things that he's challenged previously many a time. And I have to say that I don't think the story really comes off as complete. Instead, it alludes to things that we're told that have happened, but without knowing the person that relays the information to us, there is a kind of a lack of investment. And this comes into the other change that I think I would have made. I think I would have named at least some of our characters, at the very least the lead two, as overall things feel kind of impersonal. Yes, we know what the characters are thinking and feeling at any given moment, thanks to the performances from the actors, but we don't feel like we know them, and that makes it a little bit difficult to identify with anybody, be it the boss, the hostage, or even the heavy. They just kind of feel like character templates, any of the heavy lifting being done by the excellent professionally delivered dialogue between the two leads. Ultimately, All in Good Time can only be judged by what's been delivered, which is a professional looking, sounding and acted short movie. It's obviously low budget, but the professional performances of the two veteran actors elevates it. Mauler's dialogue stands out, and overall I was pretty impressed by what was delivered, and I hope that the crowdfunding backers, who should have seen the film by now, are too. All in Good Time will be released on the respective creators' channels, which I've linked below, later this year. Thanks for watching. I have been Critic, and I'll be back with another video soon.